The patch notes for Season 2 of Delta Force are already available on the Chinese website, and somebody was kind enough to translate them for us and post them to Reddit, so I combed through the entirety of the patch notes, and I wanted to go over the most important changes regarding this new season of Delta Force. The link to the actual Reddit post will be in the description down below if you want to go and read the entirety of the patch notes for yourselves. There is a lot of stuff here. I'm not going to talk about all the new additions that are coming, like the new operator, new weapons, new maps, and all that. I already made a video covering that, which you can find in the card in the top right corner right now. With all that out of the way, let's jump straight into it. So there's two new systems, Elimination Replay and Reputation Points. So the Elimination Replay is basically a kill cam. So basically after being eliminated, you can click the replay button to review the event. They say the current system is in testing phase and the replay performance and experience will continue to be optimized. They're also introducing a new reputation system, so through this system, inappropriate in-game behavior will result in warnings and point deductions. They say players with low scores may face restrictions on team formation or ranked matches. Improving your reputation level can unlock exclusive rewards, including ranked/promotional bonus privileges, whatever that means, also a new weapon skin for the SMG-45, and exclusive rewards such as profile medals, avatar frames, and titles. So from what I can understand, players that aren't getting enough points in a match for like being AFK, or they're just doing God knows what during the match, will see their queuing restricted, at least for ranked gameplay. We're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out because there's very limited information on this, but I think it's going to be interesting to see. So there are some new weapon attachments coming with Season 2. The M870 and the M1014 shotgun now have quick reloaders, and they're also adding in Advanced Thermal Fusion Holographic Sight, Advanced White Hot Imaging Combat Sight, 8x Advanced Thermal Sniper Scope, 5.8 series new 45 round extended magazine, and more for all of the other weapons. So hopefully these actual sights won't be able to see through smoke. I know it would be realistic, as I believe in real life these types of sights are designed to be able to see through smoke, but in a video game scenario it's not ideal because then you just have people popping smokes all over the place and using the thermals. But anyways, I digress. There's a new type of ammo for operations, 7.62 times 51 tier 2 UN bullets. Moving on to optimization, so in combat and level, map cover optimization, they optimize the height of some half-body covers, improving head peeking situations. There's a brand new construction system, so players can now use a hammer to construct fortifications, build cover and obstacles, and earn corresponding points. So that'll be interesting because a lot of the maps in certain areas don't have a whole lot of cover when you're trying to traverse them to get to another flag as an infantry soldier, so now you'll be able to construct fortifications, which is very interesting. Ground vehicle optimization, they improved the vehicle fluidity in complex environments, they enhanced the vehicle power, steering performance, the suspension system, the vehicle stability, and realism in physics simulations. And they also added the ability for ground vehicles to escape being stuck, which is great because boy did you get stuck a lot. They also improved camera stability and dynamic vehicle display for ground vehicles. As for flight vehicles, they added helicopter balance assistance, which can be enabled in settings or by holding the Alt key. So I imagine this is just to level out the helicopter. And they also optimized helicopter landing collisions to prevent rollovers, enhanced helicopter horizontal acceleration and lift during steep descents, slightly improved helicopter roll maneuverability, and optimized helicopter camera performance. They added a new tactical action, which I already covered in the previous video, so this is a diving roll or leaping system. And during this leap, aiming and firing are disabled, which is probably a good idea. New action, they added a quick melee, so press the quick melee button to perform a melee attack without switching to a melee weapon, so we will need to manually assign that key. New setting, they added an auto parachute function which will deploy the parachute when the player gets to 10 meters or below in height. New equipment display, some operatives now have their exclusive tactical equipment or gadgets displayed on their back. They also optimized vehicle lock-on, so when locked on by a laser pointer, the vehicle's viewpoint will use a separate indicator to distinguish it from other weapon lock-ons. They increased the minimum damage value for artillery fire, which is probably needed because it's one of the lesser actual call-ins that you can use in Delta Force. They also did some optimizations for operations. So in regular operations, the equipment and ammo limit for regular operations has been optimized. Players can now bring in up to level 4 helmets and armor and level 3 ammo, which I think was a pretty common complaint among players that are playing operations. System optimization for warfare, so in-game vehicle accessory change, so that's great. You'll be able to change your actual vehicle loadout in the game instead of having to stick with it for the entirety of the match, even though it might not be adapted for the match you're in, the map, whatever it may be. They also added a new system, Armory, so completing specified tasks unlocks new weapons and accessories, and they added a tutorial for the flag capture game mode. Moving on to balance changes, which is probably the bulk of the patch notes. So for all modes, they reduced the vertical and horizontal recoil benefits for each extra point of control that you give your weapon. They significantly increased the benefits to aiming stability when firing from a rest position. They weakened the impact of aiming stability on the sight's upward movement when hit. All weapon stability related accessories when firing have had their attributes reduced by 50%. So attachments that actually give stability are getting a massive nerf. All aiming stability related accessories when firing have had their stability values fixed to normal levels. So I believe all these changes are made in an attempt to reduce how much of a laser beam a lot of weapons are. For the CI-19, they reduced the control from 42 to 40 with a significant increase in horizontal recoil. For Warfare, the Recon class now has access to the SCAR H and AUG assault rifles. The AWM sniper rifle saw its base damage increased from 85 to 100 damage in the chest, but the base range was reduced from 55 meters to 30 meters, so within 30 meters, the AWM sniper rifle will be one-shotting people to the chest, which is an interesting change to say the least. Curious to see how this is going to play out. Obviously, it's still a bolt-action rifle, and players will have to aim properly in order to get that one-shot kill, but it might still be a nuisance. The K416 assault rifle saw its abdomen damage increased from 16 to 21. They slightly reduced the control benefits when the laser is activated from +10 control to +7 control. All long barrel guns now have more control penalties, but also provide more aiming stability. For operations, all the ammo types except for the 338 Lapua Magnum AP level 7 ammo have their damage reduction against the same tier armor increased from 25% to 50%, and against lower tier armor it now goes from no reduction to 25% damage reduction. So from my understanding, if you're firing, for example, level 3 ammo at level 3 armor, you're just doing overall less damage, so increasing the time it actually takes to down an enemy. All weapons have had their limb damage multipliers adjusted from 0.6 to 0.4, and there are just a ton of weapon damage adjustments here across the board. For the most part, weapon damage has been increased for a good chunk of the weapons and ammo. Moving on to other optimizations, so the M14 Marksman Rifle default firing mode has been changed to fully automatic, so when you're using it in Warfare, you're spawning in and the weapon is already on fully automatic. They also optimized an issue where shooting while moving could cause ammo to be consumed incorrectly, and they increased the hit range for melee attacks and optimized melee hit detection logic, making melee attacks easier to land. Moving on to operator balance changes. So for D-Wolf, in all modes, his triple hand cannon fuse delay was increased from 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds, so it's just longer for them to blow up. And in all modes, the tripod hand cannon minimum damage has been decreased from 10 to 1. For Viren in operations, his magnetic bomb fuse delay was increased from 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds, and the maximum damage was decreased from 125 to 110. For Warfare, the magnetic bomb maximum damage was increased from 100 to 125. The max damage radius was reduced from 4 meters to 1 meter. The damage to tanks was reduced from 45 to 35, and they also reduced the magnetic bomb throwing distance. For Stinger, there were only changes in operation, so the hormone gun healing duration for teammates was increased from 20 seconds to 60 seconds, and the Hive technology smoke grenade healing duration after coloring was also increased from 20 seconds to 60 seconds. For Toxic in all modes, her adrenaline ability range was increased from 9 meters to 12.5 meters, making it easier to buff teammates. In operations, the adrenaline boost saw a reduction in aim down sight times at the first level from 25% to 30%. The decrease in recoil rise at level 1 and 2 was increased from 20 to 35%, and at levels 3 and 4, the decrease in recoil rise increases from 40% to 45%. In Warfare, the adrenaline boost reduction of aim down sight time at the first level increases from 25% to 30%, and the decrease in recoil rise at the first level increases from 30% to 40%. So overall, the effects of adrenaline boost were just buffed. For Luna, so she actually saw some buffs, which I don't think were really needed. In any case, in operations, the electric arrow, the cooldown was reduced from 45 seconds to 40 seconds, and it now increases the waiting time for the target to use healing items. And in Warfare, the electric arrow, when hitting vehicles, it applies a laser sight lock effect. So I gather that this means if a vehicle is hit by the electric arrow, you'll be able to lock on that vehicle instantly with the AT-4 launcher, the Javelin, and the Stinger. For Lulu in all modes, they're saying that there's now an additional 0.25 second delay before your incendiary grenade starts causing damage when it hits the ground. So from the moment it hits, you get 0.25 seconds to get out. But when it's already burning, there's now no more delay from when you actually start taking damage when entering the fire. Previously it was 0.5 seconds, now it's instantaneous. As for operations, his loitering munition, the energy consumption when you're actually boosting the flight is now increased by 3 times as opposed to 2 times. So basically it's just using more energy when you're boosting the loitering munition. As for vehicle balance adjustments in Warfare, so for the weapon stations, they reduced the explosion damage range of the 20mm anti-aircraft gun against characters, but they also increased its explosion damage. They significantly reduced the explosion damage range of the anti-aircraft turret, but increased its explosion damage, and they reduced the maximum range of the light machine gun. So this is all for the weapon station. For the defensive grenade that is available to the AA, they added explosion range, so it should be able to take care of infantry a little more effectively. For the AA, they reduced the maximum range of the 20mm autocannon, slightly increased the firing speed of the continuous fire, they decreased the projectile speed, they increased hit damage against characters, so it should be able to take care of infantry a little bit easier, and increased hit damage against assault helicopters. They slightly increased the firing spread of the 30mm autocannon, slightly decreased the projectile speed, increased hit damage against characters, and increased hit damage against assault and reconnaissance helicopters. So making the 30mm autocannon a little bit more viable, because from my experience, the 20mm autocannon was just a better option. For the helicopter, they reduced the drop rate of anti-vehicle rockets, reduced the maximum range of the 30mm autocannon, so you won't be able to fly up at max height and still shoot down targets. For the tank, they reduced the explosion damage range of armor-piercing shells, they slightly increased the minimum explosion damage against characters, reduced the explosion damage range of high explosive shells, and increased the minimum explosion damage against characters. So overall, they reduced the explosion damage range for most of the shells, but also increased how much explosion damage it does against infantry. They also did some balance adjustments to equipment, so for the trophy system, also called the ADS Close Defense System, it will no longer intercept vehicle main guns and missiles, it will also not intercept AT-4, Stinger, Javelin, and flying missiles. They removed a Claymore from the support class. For the Stinger, the missile flight speed was reduced from 150 meters per second to 120 meters per second, and the maximum turning angle speed changed from 45 degrees to 50 degrees. Kind of odd because I feel like the Stinger's kind of bad in Delta Force, but again, I don't use it that often either. For the anti-personal grenade damage to vehicles, it was reduced from 10 to 7. We're in the final stretch here talking about in-game scoring adjustments for Warfare. For the Recon class, the Claymore kill score was increased from 50 to 150. For the Engineer class, repairing same squad vehicle score was increased from 20 to 40. Repairing same faction vehicle score was increased from 10 to 20. And the anti-tank mine vehicle destruction score was increased from 200 to 400. For Uluru, getting a kill with the loitering munition now gives you 200 points as opposed to 100. Getting a kill with the incendiary now gives you 45 points as opposed to 30, and the incendiary assist score was increased from 20 to 35. They also made it so that people that damaged our own vehicles cannot gain points for actually fixing them, and they introduced vehicle destruction assists, so even if the crew leaves the vehicle before it's destroyed, enemies can still receive destruction points, which is great because you would still be able to destroy the vehicle and you get like that little notification on screen that you actually got the vehicle destroyed, but you just get no points, which kind of felt bad because in the end you still got that vehicle destroyed. So that pretty much covers the most important parts of these patch notes. Again, there'll be a link in the description down below if you want to go and read them for yourselves. There are a ton of changes in operations, as I said, for the weapon damage and stuff like that, but there were just too many to go through. In any case, I'm excited for Season 2 of Delta Force, with a few exceptions for some of the changes. Let me know what you're most looking forward to, or what you're not looking forward to in the comment section down below. In any case, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.